Hello, remember to thyself be true. Let's go through the August budget overview for 2024. So, this is how everything went. In terms of income, the only increase that I got, my husband gave me 1,100. So, my total income for the month then became 23,588.92 cents plus 1,100 that my husband gave me. So my total income for the month then became 24,688.92. And then when it comes to fixed expenses, I paid exactly 139. So in total, my fixed expenses for the month was as budgeted 139. So now the balance remaining is the 24,688.92 less the DSTV payment that I made of 139. So the balance remaining actual was then an amount of 24,549 rand 92. And then as we move along to the variable expenses, electricity I budgeted 300 rand, and I actually bought electricity for 300 rand. Household I budgeted 500 rand. I actually spent an amount of 465 rand 90 cents. Bolt or Uber I budgeted 360. I ended up spending just 295 rand. And then taxi I budgeted 90 rand. I ended up just spending an amount of 30 rand. How train I budgeted 1,500 rand. I ended up just spending 1,106 rand. Parking I budgeted 25 rand. I ended up spending 24 rand. And then petrol I budgeted 1,000 rand. I only poured petrol of 600 rand for the month. And then toll gate I budgeted 57 rand. I actually spent 57 rand exactly. Groceries I budgeted 2,500 rand. I ended up spending 2,374 rand 99 cents. Food I budgeted 600 rand. This is for the meat for the month, but I actually overspent on meat for an amount of 841 rand 1 cent. Time bank fees I budgeted 10 rand. I ended up spending 12 rand on bank fees. Standard Bank I budgeted 10 rand, but I ended up spending 6 rand 95 cents. Capitec bank fees I budgeted 10 rand. I ended up spending 10 rand 50. And then I went out with my friend to Cradle Moon. Initially, the plan was to visit her at her place, but we decided to meet at Cradle Moon and go and have lunch there. So I did not budget for restaurant but I ended up spending 375 Rand on that. That was about it in terms of my variable expenses. So the actual variable expenses for the month amounts to the following: 300 Rand plus 465.9 plus 295 plus 30 Rand plus 1106 plus 24 plus 600 Rand plus 57 plus 2374.99 plus 841.01 plus 12 plus 6 Rand 95 plus 10 Rand 50 plus 375. So total variable expenses amounted to 6,498 Rand 35 cents. So the total balance remaining from this 24,549 Rand 92 is 24549.92 is 18,051 Rand 57 cents. And for the first time ever, so this is the total, and this is the balance remaining after deducting from my income the fixed expenses and the variable expenses. So the balance remaining is 18,051 Rand 57. So for the first time ever, I had a rate debt because I bought with my card and I paid the full 680.01. I just wanted to make use of credit and pay the credit because I haven't used the card for quite some time. So my actual is 630.01, and the balance remaining from 18,051 Rand 57 less the 630 Rand 01 cent debt, we've got an amount of 17,421 Rand 56. So I'm gonna fill in the balance remaining of 17,421 Rand 56 cents. And then my favorite part, which is the savings or sinking funds for the month, went as follows. So when it comes to emergency fund, I budgeted to save 5,000, but I actually saved 5,032 Rand 45 cents. 29.29, I budgeted 1,000 Rand. I saved exactly 1,000 Rand. Valentine's, I budgeted 100 Rand. For 2025, I saved 100 Rand. Namibia, I planned on saving 3,000. I actually saved exactly 3,000. Christmas, I budgeted 250. I actually saved 250. My holiday fund, I budgeted 100 Rand. I actually saved 100 Rand. My husband's birthday, I budgeted 200 Rand. I actually saved exactly 200 Rand. Unplanned travel, I budgeted 200 Rand. I actually saved 200 Rand. 52 weeks challenge, I budgeted to save 1,003, but I ended up saving 1,410 Rand. And then also, I did not budget for my books sinking fund, but I actually saved, or it was a roundup of 45 Rand 22 cents exactly. And then also with the concert sinking fund, I did not budget for it, but I rounded it up by 40 Rand 45 cents. And then the other thing that I did not budget for is the Live Better roundup, which for the month it rounded up a savings of 3 Rand 25 cents. And then also Black Friday sinking fund, I did not budget for it, but I actually rounded it up by 29 Rand. So my total savings then became the following. So it was 5,032 Rand 45 plus 1,000 Rand plus 100 Rand plus 3,000 Rand plus 250 plus 100 Rand plus 200 Rand plus 200 Rand plus 1,410 Rand plus 45 Rand 22 plus 40 Rand 45 plus 3 Rand 25 plus 29 Rand. My total savings for the month amounted to 11,410 Rand 37, which is what I actually saved for this month. So the balance remaining after savings was 17,421.56 less the 11,410 Rand 37 was an amount of 6,011 Rand 19 cents. So when it comes to my investments, retirement annuity, I planned on investing 500 Rand. I invested exactly 500 Rand. Tax-free savings account, I planned on investing 600 Rand. I invested exactly 600 Rand. Frank, I planned on investing 100 Rand, which is exactly what I did, invested 100 Rand. So my investment for the month amounted to 1,200 Rand. So the balance remaining then became 6,119 cents less the 1,200 of investments. The balance remaining was 4,811 Rand 19 cents. So this is what happened in terms of investments. My budgeted is equals to actual, and the balance remaining becomes 4,811 Rand 19 cents. Medical, I budgeted 1,000 Rand, but I actually spent 1,920 Rand 37. My husband's donation assisted with this. Books, I budgeted 327 Rand 91, but I ended up spending 609 Rand because I also bought my husband a book as a gift. So that is why this is so over budget. And then personal care, I budgeted 510. I spent exactly 510. Hair salon, I budgeted 320, which is exactly what I spent, 320. Discam, I budgeted 1,350, but I spent 1,340 43 rand 17 cents. And then the other thing that I did not budget for is the entrance fee at Cradle Moon when I went for lunch with my friend. I did not budget for that. I paid 50 rand for that. So my personal or fun expenses then becomes 1920.37 plus 609 rand plus 510 plus 320 plus 1343 rand 17 cents plus 50 cents. So my actual personal fun expense then becomes an amount of 4,752 rand 54 cents. So from the balance that's remaining here on the investments of 4,811 rand 19 cents, to that, when I deduct the actual personal fund expenses of 4,752 rand 54 cents, the balance remaining becomes 58 rand 65, which is exactly what is left that I'm carrying forward to my September budget. So when we look at the summary, my total income for the month is 24,688 rand 92. And then total saved is 11,410 rand 37. Total invested is 1,200. Total debt paid is 630.01. And then my total expense is the following: is 139 plus 6,498 rand 35 cents of variable expenses. So the 139 is the fixed expenses, plus my personal expenses of 4,752 rand 54 cents. So my total expenses for the month is 11,389 rand 89 cents. When we calculate the amount left over in the summary, we come to an amount of 24,688 rand 92 cents less the 11,389 rand 89 cents less 11,410 rand 37, which we saved, less 610 rand 1 cent debt that we paid, and lastly the 1,200 that we've invested. So amount left over is 58 rand 65, which we are carrying forward to the September budget of 2024. So here on the notes, underspent, overspent, I'm going to categorize these. Underspent, I'm going to highlight in blue, and then overspending, I'm going to categorize in green. The places that I overspent on is I overspent on my savings, which is a great thing, and personal expenses I also overspent, but it doesn't really matter that much, because it is what it is. So when it comes to my fixed expenses, actual equals to budget. So I only underspent in my variable expenses for the first time, I think, this year, which is a good thing. And then my debt, I did not overpay or overspend. So it's exactly the same. And then investment is also exactly the same. So I'm so proud of myself for saving so much money. So because we've been filling in the monthly review during the weekly budget updates or budget overview spending trackers, let's see the percentages of the budget categories and how it gets represented in the wheel. So we've got the following. So 11, 4, 10.37, and my total income was 24,688.92. So when it comes to my savings, I saved an amount of 46%, and then I invested an amount of 4%, and then transport I spent an amount of 8%, and then household I spent an amount of 3, let me just say 4% and round it off. And then food, it's an amount of 15%. And miscellaneous, it's 0 basically, because it's just those bank charges or account fees. Debt amounted to 3% of my income, and then medical for this month amounted to 8% of my income. And then lastly, we've got personal that amounted to 11%. We can round it off to just say 12% of my income. So in terms of representation, my savings and investments is 50%. So each block or each pie or slice of the pie represent a 5%. So in terms of representation, my savings and investments is 50%. So it's this, basically half the pie is my savings and investment, which is good. If half of my income is a savings, I am so proud of myself. Progress, progress, progress. Love it for myself. And then we move on to the representation with regards to the food. So food is 15%. So which is the 3 slices of the pie. So that's representation of food. And then we've got personal, 12%. And we'll represent it with this green. So this is personal, 2 slices and just a bit of an additional slice. And then we've also got debt. So debt is 3%. So I'll just color in this one here. So that's debt. I don't know if it's visible, but this is a yellow highlighter. I think it's getting finished. And then from then on, we've got miscellaneous, which is bank charges, transport, and household. So, and we also have medical. So I'll highlight the medical with this blue. So it's this 5% and just a tidbit of the other slice. So this is all that there is when it comes to the medical. And then lastly, we have miscellaneous, transport, household, which I'll just highlight with this pink. There we go. So what I accomplished this month is that I saved more than what I've planned and invested more than the previous month. Unexpected expenses this month was 2 visits to my doctor that I did not plan for, restaurant that I did not plan for. I spent most of my money, as you guys can see, on savings and investments, which is 50%. And I overspent on medical and food this month only because the restaurant was also included in the food. And another thing is expenses that I want to cut down is personal expenses for the following month and food. Minor mistakes. I did not budget for the possibility of eating out, and I knew when we made the arrangement that there is a possibility that we can go out. So I'm never doing that again. And money lessons this month is that I need to allocate money when I know there is an appointment with a friend. And Lastly, what I plan on improving on the next month is I'm expecting a bonus at work. So I need to ensure that my emergency fund is increased to reach my yearly goal a bit sooner, if I can put it like that. Until next time, remember, to thyself be true, and to thy finances be true.